let's unbox and have a quick glimpse at Last Light. Hello and welcome to The Lucky Roll, an eclectic channel for eclectic games. And today we're going to be unboxing Last Light by Grey Fox Games and Roy Canaday. Now I believe Roy Canaday is a reviewer for the YouTube series The Dice Tower, and I have to say I'm delighted for him because the reviews and indications that I've gotten about this game and heard about this game is that it is excellent. It's also a very interesting concept. But before we go into that, I do want to say a big thank you to Gildeas at the store called Happy Go Lucky in Clonakilty. If you check in the description box below, you'll see a link to his store webpage. He gave us this and the expansion for a deal, and we'll unbox the expansion in a separate video. But a big thank you to Gildeas. It's a wonderful little store based in Cork, and one of the reasons that Gildeas' selection of board games is so very good is that he is a massive board game fan himself. It's a great little website, a fantastic little store, and please do urge you to check it out because Gildeas has been very good to this channel before in the past as well. With no further ado, just to talk about the game Last Light itself, the concept is brilliant. It's a 4X game, so the X is standing for exploration, exploitation, extermination, and research, I believe. I forget what the fourth X is. Exploitation, extermination, expansion, or you expand into others' territories. But it's not just territory you're trying to control here. It's literally the last light in the universe. This is basically the end of everything. All the stars in the universe have gone out and there's only one white dwarf left. And all these factions are racing to control the very last one. Quite a grim concept, but a brilliant concept for the future and for a game. Now, it's a game for 2 to 4 players and it's 60 plus minutes. So one of the other things that make this stand out as a 4X game is the fact that it's a very short game time. The board itself also looks beautiful. So with no further ado, let's unbox this and see what we have inside. We are greeted with the instructions. Now, because it's a game that lasts only an hour, I can't imagine that the instructions are going to be very elaborate, and they're not. There is 15 pages worth of rules. We have here the credits, and the actual instruction book itself is nice. It's colorful. It has plenty of illustrations. It has a rotating board as well, I believe. And yep, seems very straightforward, so you're not going to be kind of kept waiting or trying to work out how to do this for very too long. So that's the instructions. We have here the planet assembly, so there is a bit of an assembly board and assembly guide to this. We have here the cardboard cutouts with different bits and pieces. We'll cut that and have a look at it in a moment. And we have the actual board itself. So the board itself is nice and square. It's a little big, but it's not a table hog. Now, again, the center here would have another cardboard board part on top of it, and I think there's another little board on top of that again, which rotates. So depending on the style of the game, the way the game shifts back and forth. But the board itself, again, nice and practical, good solid quality. Only on one side. We have here the center of the board, so this would rotate, and we have here, I believe, the outer circle of the board again, which rotates. And this one now, I notice, is double-sided, so that probably depends on player count or maybe even game difficulty. So you would have a lot more spaces here to the center, whereas half as many spaces here on this side. Again, all nice solid components. We have here what seem to be the planets. Now, there's a lot of empty ones, but I presume that's because the others are for the expansion. The planets themselves are nice and colorful. They all have a little circle space in the middle. That is probably the white dwarf, I imagine, that we're all fighting over. That could be a different stage of the white dwarf. These are the planets, and yeah, essentially it seems to be expansion friendly, unless I'm missing an awful lot of planets, but I doubt it. So it seems to be an expansion friendly version of the game that everything will fit into this one particular box. we have here the player aids, so we'll just have a quick look at these. So having a quick synopsis at the player aids, you have the exploration phase where you may move one of your ships to this sector, gain a resource of the type shown, gain a light or manufacture technology card without paying the cost, and here we have other exploration options where you may pick up an action card other than a refresh card, draw one technology card, put it in your hand, immediately build an extractor on the planet and may take a trade action making one trade only, or gain a small ship in the sector. So we have 4 of these. Of course, it's a 4-player game, so again it's an hour long, so it doesn't beat around the bush. We have here the little planet tokens, some more planet tokens I presume for the larger planets. We have here loads of baggies, and God bless Grey Fox for giving us loads of baggies, because it's great to see those in games. We have here the bases. Now they seem nice and solid actually. They're not like the 40k bases that are kind of a nice light plastic. There's a little bit of weight to them. I'm so used to the 40k bases that no, that these are not something that, like, they'll be slightly more resistant to someone knocking the table, I'd say, in that there's a bit of weight for them. So you get plenty of those. We have what seem to be, I presume, light crystals, because this is predominantly the resource you're chasing in the universe. Which again I find quite daunting. There used to be a theory way back, I think maybe about 20-30 years ago, that after the Big Bang that all the planets and universes and galaxies would stretch out so far and then stop and then revert back and create a new Big Bang. So there was a kind of a nice kind of, I guess, peace in that kind of life would continue in a way, or things would reset and things keep going. But the latest thinking, I believe, is that the galaxies won't revert back. They will just slow down and stop, or not slow down and stop, but they will just keep going. I believe that there's dark energy as well that is kind of an unknown force that's pushing all the galaxies further apart, so everything will just kind of drift out into space and we all die alone, and unless there's so everything basically, that the last light in the universe will eventually just go out, which is the kind of the concept of this game. Not the most pleasant one, but anyway, it's not something I'm going to be personally worrying about, because I'd say I'd be lucky if I have another 40 years. These, I presume, again, are small little crystals, and I'm talking nonsense. So these are the small little light crystals. So I presume this is the currency of the game. They're quite nice. They look, there's a full bag of them, so there's big ones and small ones, so I'm guessing donations of 1s and 5s. We have here what seems to be just a little bit of filler, so I'm guessing again that this box is expansion friendly. And we have here the actual alien races. So I won't try and pronounce all of the names because some of them can be a bit too creative for me. But we have the Ionel. So I don't think there's any humans in this game. So you start the game with 1 additional unresearched technology card. When playing a research action, draw 1 additional card. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 alien races. So it's up there with Twilight Imperium 4th edition in terms of the variety that you have. So this guy just starts with 1 additional unresearched technology. So this one seems to have a combat boost, so the Desh Hard. And what's nice as well is that they have a little bit of lore on the background, which, you know, is a small thing, but I like it. I like it for my 4X games to kind of have an idea of the faction I'm playing, so I can kind of get into the equivalent mindset. You have the Liane, so you have the Farm Extra Light, I presume. You have the Talorn, so you get a little bit of a movement bonus with these guys. You have the Burlesian, so you can... They're basically like the Lions in Twilight Imperium 4th edition. They focus on trade. You have the Vexa, who seem to be able to, that if a ship is destroyed, they can just bring it home rather than having to pay for a new one. You have these guys can modify dice rolls, the Enchelios. You have the Meliferia, which you can basically build extractors on planets a lot more quickly. You have the Alterra, so I guess there is some form of humans in this universe. When you build an extractor, immediately gain resources as though you have mined this planet. So the Alterra are collective bipedal humanoids that have been in space for at least a dozen generations aboard their massive ship, Terra Infinite. Being born in a generational ship with minimal gravity, they have evolved to be taller and thinner than their planet-dwelling ancestors. They stand 2 to 2.5 meters tall with slightly elongated limbs as well as brittle bones and less muscle mass. They compensate for this using powerful suits. and their past has been largely forgotten because they've been in space for so long. So you can pretend to be human if you want, or you can pretend to be not human if you want. Nevertheless, the option is there with the Alterans. You have the Impetrus, so you gain extra resources with these guys. You have the Arc Net. Again, if you're blockading any enemy constructs, gain light when that enemy refreshes, then exhaust this card. Okay, that's interesting. So they get in the way. You have the Nagao, which you can spend only one resource instead of 2 to upgrade, then give an opponent what I presume is a research token. So again, nice ways to kind of shake it up. You have the Cephalin. When you place an enemy ship in your graveyard, may instead return it to the owner and gain the resources and ship costs to build from the supply. Now that is interesting. That is interesting in the sense that you can kind of beneficially gain from engaging in combat. That's an interesting race. Now I'm intrigued by that one. You have the Chaelon, exhaust this card and pay purple thing to activate the exploration bonus on an already explored planet in a sector containing one of your ships. And the Orzo, exhaust this card and discard an action card to return your mine card to your hand. So again, a nice little bit of touch. It's a small thing, but I love it when they add lore to these games because, you know, you're there to kind of be immersed and lose yourself in the atmosphere of it. So the next set of cards seem to be the research cards. So I'll just open these and we'll have a quick look. So we have research, mine, we have research, mine, construct, trade, refresh, command, research. So a kind of a lot of different cards. They have different colors in the back. So again, for 4 different colors for 4 different players, and basically I'm assuming that you draw the card or tap the card when you use its function. So it's basically trade, construct, mine, and research. The actual graphics are nice. Oh, there's also refresh, excuse me, and command, research, and mine. So depending on the characters you're playing, there's different art styles. All the cards seem to be unique as well. So no, they don't actually. So my apologies. There's 6 cards to a player rather than just 4. So and the art style is the same, so there's 6 distinct looking cards for those. And we have here a graveyard and a graveyard. So for some reason this seems to be double-sided. Oh yes, for a 3+ card and 2 players. So that's the graveyard you use for 2 players, and this is the graveyard you use for 3 players. So that would explain that. We also have planetary achievement cards. So I presume this is another little faction. We'll have a look. It's funny, I was actually playing Robocop recently, and that reminds me of the OCP symbol. But so these are all cards single backed up to here. So we'll have a look at these ones first. These seems to be tech cards. Adaptive tech, AI targeting, ballistic drones, bomb run, bombardment, death blossom, development, economy, galactic monument, hull capacity, leadership, light refinement, light spree, link warp, pioneering, planetary defense, planning, power shield, reinforce, resourcefulness, salvage, supersonic, techno probes, thrusters, trade ships, warp drive, and X blaster. So these seem to be the tech and advancement cards that players can utilize. And we have here, which seem to be very interesting cards, which seem to be kind of dead stars. So you've, oh, of course, this is a system I presume that you're exploring. So you have a planetary achievement. Planetary achievements, keep these hidden. So I'm guessing that you gain light if you kind of satisfy, these must be the secret objective cards, that if you satisfy these objectives, you gain these benefits at the end of the game or during the game. So play immediately when you control 2 red planets that you gain 2 light. Keep hidden and play immediately when you control 5 green planets. So again, it's a reason for kind of going into combat. We have here dice, which I have to say look quite frankly amazing. We'll just bring these up and see what we have. So they are embossed, so it's not just print, it's actually delved into the dice, and we have some beautiful symbols here. 1 blank, 1 sun, 1 tech, I presume, tech and sun, and they are all the same. So I presume you roll these dice to kind of either score hits or to see what aspects of research you get. So there is 6 of them, so all combat will be done with them, but nevertheless they're really nice and they do go with the actual decor of the game. There's an interesting kind of contrast of light and dark, white and black with the dice, and color with the civilization. So the only color that seems to be in this game tends to be the planets itself and the civilizations, whereas the theme of the game and the combat and things done in Dead Space are just pure black and white. It's an interesting contrast, and of course it would make the game stand out all the more on the actual board, especially when you have colored planets like that. A really cool and clever little idea for aesthetics. And the last thing we will look at, of course, is all the cardboard tokens. So I just have to open this. So I presume these are player unique because they're 4 different colors and tend to be kind of places where you put your resources. Again, these tokens seem to be double-sided. You have what I presume are asteroids here, and the cardboard stock is good, nice and thick, popped out fairly handily. We have here again a ton of resource tokens, different colors, so if you've orange, grey, purple. We have here, I presume these are the resources that you get on the different planets you colonize. These are unknown tokens, so I'm guessing that this is the unknown achievement you get for kind of unlocking some of the planets, including the OCP symbol. Again here, maybe that there's some, these seem to be half, so they will probably go around the different planets on both sides. And I have here what I presume is the first player marker. We have here what seem to be the ships for the game. So we have some large frigates here. I'm just going to zoom in on it. So we have some large, what I presume are frigate and battleships here. What might be kind of trade ships, and I presume the standard scout battleships, and what I presume are hit tokens. Some more research, and what seem to be portals. That could be technology, and they're double-sided on both sides. And we have here what seem to be player boards. There's 4 of them, so as you can see it cuts across here depending on the different type of tech, and they are fairly interesting as well because you can actually slot the cards. You can slot the cards and the planets into them, so that is a nice little touch as well. So that was everything in the core box of the Last Light game. Now Gildeus also gave us a deal on the expansion, so we'll unbox that in another episode. But nevertheless, a very impressive game. It stands out and it looks beautiful on the table. We were at NaveCon, which is a big board game convention in Limerick, and I highly suggest you check it out if you live in Ireland. But we saw this game being played, and it quite frankly looked amazing. And when I went up to Gildeus to ask about it, he was very good to give us the offer of that deal. So as always, this is Sean from The Lucky Roll. If you enjoy these videos, please like, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. And until next time, this is Sean signing off.